Support for this podcast comes from listeners and St. Alphonsus Health System, a regional network of hospitals, clinics, and care providers. St. Alphonsus offers comprehensive healthcare services to individuals and families throughout the community. More information about services and locations is available at stalphonsus.org.
From Boise State Public Radio, it's The Connector, Idaho Daily News. Good morning. I'm Troy Oppie. It is Tuesday, October 14th. This morning, how wildfires impact ozone pollution, CWI celebrating a large new federal grant for mining education, and the Boise City Council today set to take a step forward toward a 3,500-unit subdivision in South Boise. We start, though, with the state budget. Idaho's continued drop in tax collections has the state facing a projected budget deficit. James Dawson reports on the looming constitutional problem.
Idaho cannot run a budget deficit under the state constitution, unlike the federal government. The Idaho Capital Sun first reported that the most recent legislative forecast estimates the state ending the current fiscal year in the red by $56.6 million. Tax collections are down by more than $90 million compared to the same time last year. That's after lawmakers slashed personal and corporate income tax rates in the spring.
There's a lot of us that knew that this was going to be the case, and it just wasn't quite enough of us to stop the train from running off the tracks.
Democratic Senator Janie Ward Engelking serves on the state budget committee. She says she doesn't think reversing those tax cuts is feasible, but repealing a controversial $50 million private school subsidy program might be. Governor Brad Little ordered state agencies to cut their budgets by 3% last month and asked lawmakers to make those cuts permanent in future years. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
The Boise City Council today will hear how the city's library system is set to update its facilities plan. A joint meeting of the council and the Boise Library Board of Trustees is set for 3:30 this afternoon in council chambers. This evening, Boise City Council will introduce a new series of ordinances for the Murio Farms subdivision. That's the 3,500 housing unit build-out over 2 decades in what is now just south of the Boise city limits between Maple Grove and Cole Roads. The City Council last fall approved a first phase of the development with multiple stipulations, most related to the fees developers pay for expanding city services. The Council tonight will hear first readings of an ordinance that would officially annex the site's 380 acres and a separate ordinance which would adopt the Murio Farms specific plan. The Ada County Highway District could split its service area into 2 distinct impact fee zones. That idea is part of the agency's proposed update to the ACHD Capital Improvement Plan. That's the 20-year document that gets an update every 5 years. ACHD says splitting the impact area into 2 zones would better distribute the burden of impact fees. Those are levied on developers for new building projects. Impact fees can't be used for existing roads already at capacity or to pay for neighborhood streets or multimodal transportation infrastructure. The proposal would divide the city east and west using primarily Cole Road and Glenwood Avenue. ACHD projects the east zone has about $340 million in future impact fee eligible projects compared to the $1.3 billion of those projects in the western half of the county. ACHD has a survey about the proposal on its website, open for response through this week. New research shows that wildfires are a major contributor to ozone pollution. Here's the Mountain West News Bureau's Murphy Woodhouse with details.
Ozone pollution is what you get when you mix nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds, and sunlight. It can lead to decreased lung function, increased emergency room visits, and other health impacts. A team of researchers recently modeled a major 2020 Western wildfire smoke event to see how much it contributed to ozone compared to emissions from cars, industry, and other human sources. The fire added 21 parts per billion compared to just 11 from human activity.
And we are talking about twice as high contribution to the ozone formation than from anthropogenic emissions. For us, it was absolutely surprising.
That study co-author Adam Kachansky. He acknowledges that the findings could make people even more anxious about smoke, but says that tools like prescribed fires will be among the most important for addressing the ozone pollution issue.
In order to reduce the amount of available fuel and then the amount of emissions, the best way is to have prescribed fires.
He asked people to imagine the relative impact of a day of prescribed burning versus weeks of uncontrolled wildfire. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Murphy Woodhouse.
The Boise psychiatrist arrested last month accused of sexually assaulting a patient cut off an ankle monitor and fled to California after posting bond. KTVB reports Alexander Wills was arrested in Valencia, California last Friday and will be extradited back to Idaho, where he faces a felony charge of forcible penetration. Wills operated multiple psychiatric care facilities headquartered at now-closed Perma Mental Health LLC on Bannock Street in Boise. Police say there could be additional victims. The State Board of Medicine issued an emergency suspension of his medical license and plans permanent disciplinary action. Separately, Wills is facing misdemeanor domestic violence charges, and a competency evaluation was ordered as part of that case, which began last fall. A first-in-the-region associate's degree program at the College of Western Idaho is getting a nearly $900,000 grant from the National Science Foundation. CWI's Associate of Science in Mining Technician degree program launched this fall. The school, in a news release, says the grant funds will be used to support around 60 students over the next 3 years. CWI is also partnering with Perpetua Resources, the mining company working to resume gold and antimony extraction at Stibnite in Valley County, on a $250,000 scholarship fund designed to support a dozen mining technician and geosciences students at the community college. In sports, Boise State says Saturday's football game against UNLV is now sold out. Kickoff was previously announced for 1:30. The telecast is on the subscription network FS1. It's the 12th straight home sellout for Boise State. And one of the two remaining members of the Pac-12 Conference has fired its football coach. A former Idaho Vandal is stepping in. Oregon State fired second-year coach Trent Bray on Sunday morning following the Beavers' 0-7 start. Former University of Idaho head coach Rob Akey was named interim head coach. Akey led the Vandals for 5.5 seasons. It included a Humanitarian Bowl victory in Boise in 2009, but his tenure ended when he was fired halfway through the 2012 season. And that's today's episode of The Connector. I'm Troy Oppie. In This Week for George Prentice. We'll catch you back here tomorrow morning. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, you can always visit BoiseStatePublicRadio.org or download our free Boise State Public Radio app. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.